Okay, we are looking at the properties of exponents. So we have several rules. So we're going to start with the first one. So properties of exponents, we have A. A is going to be our coefficient or our constant. I'm going to put coefficient. So it's like a number out in front of a variable. Then the x is going to be the base. So it can be anything. It could be a number, it could be a variable. But that is the base. The reason it's a base is because up here, right there, is your exponent. So let's go ahead and expand each of the following. So we have 3 and then x to the 4th. So when we expand it, we're just going to look at the base with the exponent. 3 is just going to stay. That's our coefficient. But x is to the 4th power. So that means I'm going to write x 4 times. So go ahead and do B, C, and D now. You can look at my B and C, see if you got the same thing. So this is called expanding it. Just writing the variable or whatever number is being raised to a power that many times. Okay, then the next one, we have x squared, so we have 2 x's. We have just a y, then we have z 3 times. So this is expanding. We can also regroup instead of having it, so it's the opposite of expanding. So how many x's do we have? 3 of them. So we're going to write 5x cubed to the 3rd power. Go ahead and do B, C, and D now. Okay, there's my B and C. Check it with yours. Okay, so there is D. Okay, let's go to the next page. It says product of power. So product means multiply. So we're looking at exponents that have the same base. So look how it says a to the m. A to the n equals a to the m plus n. See how we added those exponents, but we kept the same base? So we're going to write same base, and this is like an arrow. Same base means we are going to add the exponents. So let's look at this. This is x to the 5 times x to the 3. So that would be x 5 times, x 3 times. So how many x's would we have? 8. Yeah, so we're really just adding these. Okay, let's look at the next one. X squared, x to the 4th. Even though there's parentheses, it still means the same thing. X squared times x to the 4th. So what does that mean? X to the, what do we do with these? We're just going to add them. So it's x to the 6th. Okay, so you can have more than one base, but you still keep your bases like organized together. So it's x3, x2. So I'm going to rewrite it so they're right beside each other. x3 times x squared, and then y2 and y4. Y squared and y to the 4th power. So then these we add, remember? So this would be x to the 5th power, yep, and then y to the 6th power. Okay, so we're going to pause right there. I'm going to give you the worksheet, and we're going to work through a few of those. Okay, before we do example 4 and 5, we're going to start on our worksheet. So let's look at number 1. I'm not going to have you actually find what it is. I'm going to have you just simplify it. So if we have 4 squared times 4 squared, what do we do with these exponents? Add them, yeah. So it's going to be 4 to the 4th power. So let's just leave it like that. Okay, what about number 2? We have a 4 and then a 4 squared. If there's nothing, if there's no exponent, what exponent would you have? How many times do you see that 4? 1. So go ahead and put a 4 to the 1st power right there. So then what does this equal? 4 to the 3rd power. Okay, go ahead and do 3 and 4. Three and 4. All right, let's go back to our notes now. All right, let's do 4 and 5 now. So we have 4 x squared times 3 xy. So remember how I reorganized them here where I put all the same things together, all the same bases together? So it'd be the same thing as reorganize so you put your coefficients together. So you put your numbers out front. So we're going to do 4 times 3. Put those out front. And then put your x's next. So x squared, and then an x, and then a y. So all we're doing is reorganizing it first. And now what do I do with 4 times 3? Can I just multiply those? We're really just going to multiply those. The only new thing that we learned was adding exponents of like bases. But we're still multiplying 4 times 3. What's 4 times 3? 12. Okay, and then what about your x's? This is x squared. What is this one? X to the first power. So how many, what's the exponent on x now? Yeah, good. And then what do I do with y? Did it change at all? Is there another y? Just stays. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and do, we'll come back to example 5 later. I just want y'all to go ahead and do through 12 on your worksheet now. So I'll help you on 5. If you've already done 5, great. You can keep on going and check your work. So I'm just going to rewrite them. So the 2 and the 5, I'm going to rewrite as 2 times 5. And then n's can be right next door to each other. N4, N4. So with numbers, with coefficients, you're just multiplying. What's 2 times 5? 10. Then what do we do with our exponents? Add them. Yep. And 8. All right, so keep on going through these. If you don't need to reorganize them and you can just go ahead and multiply them and add your exponents, you can do that too. So keep on going through this. Go through 12. All right, hopefully you got through 12. Let's go to our example 5. So everybody go back to their example 5 in their notes. Ooh, this has some negatives on there. But there's no exponents outside the parentheses or anything like that. So we're just going to rewrite it with all of our numbers first and then do our variables in alphabetical order. Okay, so we're going to start with -2. So -2 times, what would I put for just a negative there? What is actually in front of that x? A 1, yeah, so -1 times 5. Now let's do x's. So we have x to the 4th power. We have just an x. And we have an x squared. And I like to circle them or cross them out as I go just so I can make sure that I do all of them. So now we have a y. And there are no other y's, so I just have one y. And then I have a z. So I need to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to multiply my numbers. What's -2 times a -1? What is it? +2, yeah. So this is a +2 times 5. What's 2 times 5? 10. So I'm just going to pull down a 10 now. So I did the coefficients. Now the x's. x4, x, and x squared. So what's the x there? Yeah, there's a 1 there. So I need to add these up. 4 plus 1 plus 2 more. X to the power 7, good. One of my favorite numbers. And then what about y and z? Did anything happen to those? Are there any extras? So we're just going to carry them down. All right, so even if there's a ton of variables, coefficients, you do the same thing. You reorganize them, multiply, add your exponents for like basis. So let's look. Which one do you think is the hardest one out of 13 through 20? Do any of them look crazy hard? Let's go ahead and start with 13. Let's do that together. So just like I did before, I'm going to look at all my coefficients. And I'm going to carry them down. So 7 times 10 times 8. I don't really care for variables of u and v because they look so much alike. We do need to put them in alphabetical order. Which variable comes first, u or v? Say your alphabet in your head. U. So let's do u first. So we have u to the third power, and then u to the first power, T-U-V, now v. Do a little curly on the u, or do it some way so that it's easier to distinguish the u and the v, because those are hard. All right, so v cubed, v5, and v3. Now we got to multiply together. Let's multiply our coefficients. 7 times 10 times 8. I think it might be easiest to multiply 7 times 8. What's 7 times 8? 56 times 10. 560, yeah. All right. So we got the coefficients. Now we do the u's. What's this going to be? U to the... What variable? What exponent? What is it? 3 plus 1? 4, yeah. And then v. What's the exponent for v? 11, good. All right, go ahead and do through 20. You're going to turn them in, or turn this paper in. And tomorrow we will do the rest of it, and we'll finish our notes. So make sure you write your name on your notes, put it in your pocket, do through 20, turn it in.